welcome to a new episode of Sparks Entertainment and Art, where we celebrate and explore many different aspects of the band Sparks. And listeners know that one of the things that I am always intrigued by is how different fans interpret the music of the band, and everyone seems to have a very personal take on it. I have lots of theories about why I think that's the case, but I won't spend time on that now. What I will do is introduce my great guest, which is Jack Whyte. And Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. And how did you get into Sparks?
Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of a little bit of a funny journey for me. I first heard a Spark song in the movie England Is Mine, which is a Morrissey biopic before he joined the Smiths. And he's obviously a Sparks fan, so they included a bit of Sparks in the soundtrack. And then, yeah, a year or so later, it was the COVID lockdown, and I was a massive fan of glam rock, anyways. So I purchased a glam rock compilation album, and well, Sparks were on there, and I became a huge fan of This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us because it was just such a powerful song, and I was just like bragging to everyone, being like, "Have you heard this song? It sounds like nothing I've heard before." And yeah, that's where I started my journey basically.
And well, it's true. There is really no other song quite like it, and it's very arresting when you hear it for the first time. I remember when I heard it for the first time, but that was a long time ago. Anyway, let's get to you, and let's talk about a song from this album. And this is Little Beethoven, and the song is I Married Myself.
Yeah,
And
beautiful
you wrote,
song.
yeah, well, I know you think it's a great song. I agree with you. You wrote a wonderful essay about it, and the link will be in the show notes for sure so people can see everything that you have to say. I thought it would be great to hear a little bit about why you relate to that song in such an intense way.
Well, one of the my favorite bits is how the narrator seems to be like discussing like feelings of loneliness and how they don't feel like they connect to people around them, and they're starting a journey of self-acceptance into that like lifestyle of enjoying the long walks on the beach, which I am very grateful for because I live near a beach. I'm relating heavily to going on long walks on the beach near me. Um, Candlelight dinners home hits deep because oftentimes I have my dinner by myself, and it's like the loveliest time because I get to watch a movie or watch a video essay on like a random topic of the day. Um, and it's just nice to have your own company, and you go on this journey of self acceptance through this song.
Well, that was the link that I felt as I read it, which is that you seem to be very comfortable with yourself and being with yourself, and you felt that the narrator was coming from the same place.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, when I first heard that song, I didn't fully connect to it. I didn't. I kind of just brushed it off at first, and then as I started deepening my love into Sparks, the theory around the song being the journey of self acceptance grew. And it's also kind of connecting to the neurodiverse experience where you're kind of on your own. Basically, you're very alienated from society. And you aren't sure where to go, like to see people, because when you go to pubs and bars, it's always way too busy. Shopping centers like malls and stuff, way too busy. So you kind of alienated, and I kind of related to it how I've kind of grown to enjoy my own company.
Well, you said many interesting things there, and two in particular are that you feel it's a song about self acceptance.
Yeah. When it took me ages to accept myself as asexual, because for years I just battled with my own self and didn't know what asexual meant, because it's still quite a new term to a lot of people. I think asexual was first coined in 2015 as an official term, and still lots of people are unsure like what this term means and like how to define it. But from my experience around people, um, it's like a spectrum where one feels nothing, no sexual attraction to people, but some people like myself feel very little.
And that's what you heard in the song.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, the neurodivergence aspect, which you also raised, is a really interesting one, and we've had some discussions on the show about that exact topic. And it seems that people who do self-identify, many people who do self-identify as neurodivergent, seem to hear something in their lyrics that particularly impacts them and seems to speak to them.
Definitely. A lot of my friends are also neurodivergent as well, and one of them kindly gave me "Beat the Clock" the single, and heard like purple colors in their music, which I found really fascinating. Because they kindly donated me "Beat the Clock." They were like, "Oh, we went to this market, found this for you." I gave it a clean and listened to it for the first time, and I was like hearing all these colors. It wasn't their cup of tea. Because they were into like gothic rock and like post punk and that sort of thing. But like they were like massively into listening to this because their dad themselves was a Sparks fan, so it was like a full circle for them.
When you say they heard purple, do you mean literally they envisioned the color, or does that have a
Mm.
different meaning in your mind?
So like they visualize a lot of purple colors because they have a synesthesia, which is where they like can see like colors and like patterns in certain auditory processing. I can feel patterns in music, which I always find wonderful. Like certain songs I listen to just for the patterns.
You mean patterns beyond the way the music is written?
Yeah. Mm.
What's a good example? One of your favorite examples?
Um. Oh, I did a lot of work for my university project around like patterns, and like I ended up with Sparks. And one of because my teacher was a Sparks fan, noticed that a lot of them like followed quite a linear pattern, but at the same time it was off the linear, as it were. Like it was still linear, but like not linear. So it was like wonderful to listen to the entire Sparks discography and try and work out like if there was like a theme with the patterns that I was like visualizing.
And what did you find?
A lot of Spark songs have got a lot of wavy patterns, especially Number One in Heaven. It's very wavy, free flow, and it feels very ethereal and beautiful. It's wonderful to like create patterns around that album. It's my favorite album for that reason. And anything from Hippopotamus, especially What the Hell Is It This Time, has a very like square pattern. Like it's very square, but it's still like Number One in Heaven, very wavy.
And you're talking about something beyond just the melody.
Mm.
You're
Mm.
talking about an impression that the whole song, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah,
but that's what I'm hearing you say, that it's the whole
yeah,
song gives you a certain impression.
yeah.
Wow. So how did your teacher like your
She loved it. She wasn't a big fan of like my initial designs because I wanted to do like very much like portraiture work with my work. And she wasn't a huge fan of that, and she said just go full pattern because it'll look more impressive if it's a pattern rather than just a portrait of the band.
hmm Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great. And one of the things that you talk about in your essay is the mood and the tone of the song. And I thought those were
Mm.
some really interesting observations.
Yeah, when I wrote down late earlier, um, about how I saw like different shades of grey with this song, and I thought the dark greys I saw were reflecting the sadness, especially at the start where he's like, "I married myself. I'm very happy together." He's basically trying to, like, he's sad, but it's not trying to show like the sadness properly. He's like, "Yeah, I'm by myself. I'm single. I'm lonely." And then as the song progresses, it's getting happier, and then by the end, he's accepting himself, and he's like, "Yeah, I've married myself. I'm pretty happy with that life."
That gets us back to the theme of self-acceptance that you mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And let me ask you something else. It's a little bit, your essay got me thinking about this and talking to you that kind of reinforces it. Do you do you see a connection between this and falling in love with myself again from Kimono?
Mm, definitely. When I first heard "Falling in Love with Myself," I definitely heard the self-acceptance themes in that song, and it's a lot more happier than "Married Myself" in the way that it's like yes, I'm happy, and yeah, falling in love with myself again. It's amazing. It's the best feeling in the world. whereas this song's more like he starts out being a bit upset because he's by himself and he's like, I didn't choose this lifestyle. I've not chosen to live like this. I'm now 70 years old. I wanted to have this and that before this time happened. And then by the end, he's just like, yeah, I've chosen this pathway.
Are there other Spark songs that aren't as obvious where you hear these themes playing out?
Mm, trying to have a think there. I would think onomatopoeia because like I've heard somebody say that it sounds like a song of Sparks trying to teach a child to talk, and I feel like that can be self-acceptance around people who are like non-verbal or haven't really spoken much in the world,
Hmm.
like where they like start speaking. I might like only say a simple like simple one letter, like a pa or a ma, to say something what they were trying to refer to. And like it's a journey of them accepting that even though they haven't said verbally what they want to say, but they can say so much non-verbally.
Yeah, no, those are really great points. Well, let me ask you one last thing. There's something that you say in your essay, and I'm going to just quote it. This character could be relating to Ron himself, after all. The man, as far as knowledge goes, has never married and has never openly discussed his own relationships.
Yeah, when I often listen to Spark songs, sometimes the lyrics jump out to me and it's like, is this Ron telling us something that he feels through Russell? Like the song Funny Face 100% I feel like is about how Russell got all the girls back in like the 80s and he was stuck with barely anyone really. There's no photographs of that time period with any love interest, unfortunately. It's
Mhm.
just Russell with Jane or whoever. Um, and he's just stuck with like the smart girls who don't look as attractive as people want them to be. Like you'd think some band who's somewhat famous gets all the pretty girls and stuff. And the other song that I feel like is a very personal thing for Ron is "I Wish I Looked a Little Better."
Yeah, I thought
Like,
you were going to say that one.
yeah, 100%. When I watched, I think it was the deleted scenes for the Sparks Brothers. Um, they were talking about this song and they were saying it could be a personal thing for Ron to like discuss about because maybe he does wish he looked a little better so he could get the girls and Russell like could just have like the background for a bit.
Yeah, well,
Mm,
yeah, that's that's so interesting. I always enjoyed Funny Face as a funny story,
mm.
a little O. Henry type ending there at the end. But on reflection and after hearing what you're saying, maybe that's correct. Maybe that's how it's intended.
When I heard it earlier, like one lyric that stood out to me is like, "Well, I might be ungrateful, but I don't care." Like it's the basically the narrator telling people, "Look, I wish I did look different facially, but yes, I might sound ungrateful, and yes, I know people talk about how I look, especially Ron with his mustache. Um, like people talk about him like that, but he wants to change and he wants people to see that he wants to look different. But everyone continuously talks about the mustache, especially in the UK. Whenever you mention Sparks, the first thing is, "Oh, the mustache." Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Well, to his credit, by the time those albums came out, he had changed his mustache style, so,
Definitely, yeah.
which I think was a good move. That wasn't
Mm.
a great.
Yeah, especially in the in England, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I bring up how sparks have changed drastically over the years, the only thing people talk about is the mustache, the Chaplin mustache.
Chaplin being generous.
Mm. Yeah.
So, Jack, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for talking to me. It's been great talking.
Absolutely. It's just great to hear
Mm.
what you have to say. And for watchers of the show and for listeners of the show, please do subscribe. Please do join the Facebook website if you want to. The great thing is that it keeps you up to date on great content like this and hearing all these different views from people. And it's just a lot of fun to have the opportunity to speak with you and do this show. And I will be back soon with a new episode. Thank you again, Jack.
Thank you. Nice seeing you. Yeah.